Last episode, the episode kicks off with the group having a light-hearted debate about Mossman's supposed death and funeral. Then they recap their recent victory over Tavrok, the town's rescue, and their liberation efforts. The scene shifts to a hallway where Damien is carrying a knocked-out Saber. They discuss Saber's attempt at suicide before he was subdued. Back in the room, Chase, a commentator with no pirate ties anymore, nervously explains his situation as Damien interrogates him for the details about the base's operations and Jiro. Chase, despite claiming ignorance, is pressed for information, and Kai draws a detailed sketch of Jiro, but Chase insists he's never seen him. The group humorously debates Chase's commentary skills and his potential to join them for live fight commentary. They also discuss Tavrok's plans for a mythological coliseum and interrogate a lower-ranking pirate who reveals some of Tavrok's schemes and suggests checking the prison for hidden chambers. The pirate also admits to knowing little about Jiro and stresses that Marines don't usually enter the arena. Damien, Raj, and others consider the next steps, including the potential of Jiro having already escaped. They wake Saber, who pleads for death but is forced to cooperate under threat. Bradley intensifies the pressure while Saber hints at a connection between Bradley's father and a larger scheme, frustrating Bradley. Damien continues probing for details, revealing Tavrok's plan to pit Delaware users against each other. Despite Saber's pleas for death, the crew decides to keep him alive for further questioning and potential punishment. During their search, Kai finds a hidden chest with a moving magical paper reminiscent of the murder's map. They suspect Jiro might not have been on the island and decide to explore further. Back in town, Hoover thanks them for saving the city, and Damien supports Raj, who mourns his lost children and contemplates joining the Marine. As the group leaves, they detect a fungal scent linked to Gus and worry about Tiger's health, planning to get him to a Marine base. The group debates their next moves regarding Gus and whether to confront him or report Jiro's absence. They prepare to leave the island, finding it transformed from a labyrinth to a sunlit town. They reflect on their achievements and future plans, with Raj deciding to join the Marines. Heather joins the crew officially, and Damien crafts new armor for Anchor Arms, who is grateful but struggles with the adjustments. The adventure takes a dark turn when they return to G20 and are confronted by armored figures accusing them of murdering Jiro. The team battles these threats with Bradley and Kai using strategic maneuvers and attacks, while Yukon grapples with Shock. The fight intensifies and Yukon eventually deals significant damage, helping to clear the enemies. Damien investigates the fallen armors, discovering they are mass-produced versions of his designs and containing the remains of a person, revealing Gus's involvement in these grim operations. With the battlefield cleared, the team prepares for the next confrontations as Siren wail in the distance. Roll episode 28.
But before we go any further, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. According to this statistic below, 75% of you who are watching it right now are not subscribed, so please subscribe right now. Also, hit the bell so you would get notified whenever the new video will come out. According to this statistic, only 12% of all my subs turn their bell on. Let's get this number to at least 30. I would highly appreciate it. Also, join my Discord where you would get exclusive stuff and where you could even chat with me. Link would be in the description below.
In the latest session of One Piece Dungeons & Dragons, the crew returned to G20 after defeating the Mist Pirates, expecting medals and promotions. Instead, they were betrayed by Gus, who accused them of murder and sent Black Knight soldiers after them. After fending off these attackers, they find themselves in a G20 shipyard surrounded by more black armored soldiers. The crew is trying to regroup and figure out their next move, while one of them, Damien, reveals a chip hidden in his head that could be used against them. They also discover that the Black Knights are using humans as fuel, controlling their minds to power the armor. The crew realizes that the situation is worse than they thought, and they need to take out Gus, who is now an enemy of the Marines, but he's guarded by the powerful Black Knights. They spot Jepper's factory in a distance and suspect that Jiro might be there. They also notice that the base is filled with these black armored soldiers rather than the regular Marines, which complicates their plans. Damien warns them not to use fire against the Black Knights as it will make them stronger. The team debates their next move, considering using the Black Knights against their enemies and hoping to rescue Jiro. The crew is trying to figure out how to control the Black Knights, unsure if they're voice activated or remote controlled. They decide that their best move is to sneak into Jeppard's factory and use the Black Knights against their enemies. There is some debate about the ethics of using the Black Knights, but they justify it by saying the Marines in the armor were likely already dead and that Gus, who betrayed them, is the real enemy. The team is also split on whether to attack Gus or Jeppard first, but they know they need to save Jiro if he's still alive. They plan to arm themselves heavily and go after their enemies. The crew decides they can't leave anyone behind on a ship because more enemies might come. They plan to take everyone with them as they head to Jeppard's factory. They're concerned about the potential danger and the presence of Marines in the area, so they opt for a stealthy approach. They receive traumatized anchor arms and seek Taiga from below deck, with Damien instructing them to stick together and protect each other during the mission. The crew is discussing what to do with Grandpa Mako, who is old and frail but still has his handcuffs on from being a prisoner. They're worried about leaving him on a ship alone as it might get overrun. After waking him up, they decide to take him with them on their mission, giving him some food and explaining the dangerous situation they're in. Mako, a bit confused and thinking he might be dreaming, agrees to come along, though he complains about the handcuffs, reminiscing about the simpler times when they didn't need them. The crew explains to Grandpa Mako that when his handcuffs are removed, he turns into a dangerous monster, which he doesn't remember happening. They persuade him to keep the sea prism cuffs on, telling him about the destructive incidents he's caused in his past, including killing his wife after eating a devil fruit. Mako is disoriented and skeptical, but he trusts his grandson and agrees to keep the cuffs, though they suggest breaking the chains so he can move more freely. Mako is confused about his age and situation, still longing to go home and see his wife, unaware she's gone. After breaking the news that Grandpa Mako's wife is dead, the group struggles to console him, especially since he blames himself for her death when he was transformed into a monster. No one in the group is good at comforting people, leading to awkward attempts at reassurance. In the end, they decide to take Mako with them on their mission, with the team trying to stay stealthy despite the emotional weight and chaos among them. The group tries to stealthily navigate through a heavily guarded area, but one of their members, Damien, gets spotted by an approaching armored suit. To avoid a confrontation, Damien uses a spell to alter his appearance and voice to resemble their enemy, Gus, surprising his teammates who didn't know he could do that. The situation becomes tense as the group prepares to receive the advancing threat using Damien's new disguise. Damien disguises himself as Gus to fool a machine guard, but things get tense when the machine doesn't fully buy into the act, mentioning that only Jeppard, not Gus, has command over it. Damien convinces the machine to check out a disturbance elsewhere, buying the group some time. The team then decides to stealthily enter the factory through a window using their climbing abilities to scale the building. They discuss strategies, joke around about their poor emotional support skills, and eventually decide to all climb up a drainage pipe to sneak into the factory, even though some members like Heather seem to have no trouble while others might struggle. Heather effortlessly climbs the drainage pipe while the rest of the group struggles a bit, with Raj deciding to stay behind. Once at the top, the group peers into the factory and sees several suits of armor, including one that stands out with wings, horns, and glass visor, seemingly in charge. They recognize the figure inside as Malice, a leader they previously captured. The group debates whether to save her or focus on finding and defeating Jeppard, the real threat, who they believe is somewhere below. Now they need to find a way into the factory and down to Jeppard's location. The group spots an entrance to the factory and plans a strategy. Damien Gus decides to distract the guards while the rest sneak in. They manage to enter the factory where they encounter Malice and the leader in charge. She triggers an elevator platform in the center of the room, presumably leading to Jeppard. The team debates how to sneak onto the platform unnoticed, considered options like causing a distraction or using stealth, but they realize it won't be easy as the platform is exposed. They're still brainstorming how to proceed without alerting the guards. The group is figuring out how to get into the factory undetected. They debate whether to cut a hole in the window or to sneak in or just walk in pretending they know Gus and are there to see Jeopard. Eventually they decide to cut a hole in the window and one of them successfully does so. They realize there is a robot directly below them, but there are only 4 robots in total plus Malice. Knowing stealth might not work, they consider launching a surprise attack by diving through the window and taking out the robots quickly. The group is taking a short rest while discussing their next actions. Kai wants to cast Find Traps to detect any dangerous traps or explosives before they jump down into a room. They discover no immediate explosives, but there is a breaker box with electricity and hidden ventilation shafts. Meanwhile, there is an awkward interaction with Malice, who is guarding a button, and the team decides to proceed with their plan by dropping down onto a platform. In this round, everyone makes attacks as they jump into a fight with a suit of armor. Bradley, Kai, and others attempt to hit the target but miss or fail to do much damage. Raj and Heather join the fray, with Heather missing her attacks, but Raj managing to land next to the group. After a less than stellar surprise round, the team prepares for the actual fight and starts rolling for initiative. Also shout out to Zane, Rastage's editor, keep up the good work. The group continues their fight with some tense moments. Belle starts smashing machines in a factory, which makes the other machines focus on her. Yokon jumps into battle, successfully destroys a target with a dramatic move, and then rushes to take on another enemy with a stunning strike. Bradley tries to use his ranged attack, but faces issues with positioning and stealth, resulting in a mixed outcome. Meanwhile, Kai makes his way towards Malice, but his harpoon shot aimed at her wing misses. After another shot, Kai does hit, but Malice's armor is so tough that a harpoon shot barely makes a dent, and she dismisses a heartfelt plea from her opponent. She attacks fiercely with a powerful blade and a flame cannon, knocking Kai out of the fight. In the chaos, Damien uses his thunder gauntlets to strike enemies and create a distraction. Raj joins the fray, struggling at first but eventually landing a decisive blow that takes down a knight. Knight's helmet gets smashed off, revealing it's a child who's sadly dead from starvation. The remaining knights are distracted and don't attack, Damien giving him a chance to swipe at them without success. Belle, determined to help, grapples Malice from above, but Malice retaliates with a powerful strike. Bradley, still hidden, sees Kai get hit hard and uses his last medkit to try to save him. After using a medkit to revive Kai, Bradley climbs onto a machine and takes a shot at nearby knight, wounding it but not killing it. He then distracts it to protect Heather. Kai wakes up but notices Belle grappling Malice and decides to try and destroy Malice's helmet, which might be controlling her. He successfully hits it with his spear, and Belle continues to crack the helmet. Heather moves to Kai and heals him with a spell. Malice, still grappled, slashes at Belle, but risks hitting herself due to their positioning. Malice takes down Belle with a powerful swing, leaving her injured and crumpled next to Bradley. Bradley, surprised, tries to get Malice's attention away from Heather by attacking her, taking a hit from Malice's flame cannon but using uncanny dodge to minimize the damage. Damien, seeing the chaos, finishes off a knight and finds a shriveled corpse inside the armor. He then tries to deal with another knight and instructs Chopper to scan the control panel. Chopper finds some useful controls but nothing directly helpful for fighting Malice. Damien considers options but decides not to shut down the factory as it might alert others. Damien wants to disable any alarms or security systems, so he makes sure Chopper handles that. Raj dashes to Kai but can't do much else. Belle is unconscious and failing death saves. Yokon uses a special moves to quickly get close to Malice, apologizes for her fate, and attacks her non-lethally, causing some damage. Malice, now under threat, uses her legendary action to fire at Yokon but with disadvantage, and Yokon's reaction helps mitigate the hit. Bradley tries to use a powerful water attack but misses, and then tries to hide behind Belle's unconscious body, though he's still spotted by Malice. barely tries to hide after his attack, thinking Malice can see him, but she spots him and flies over to strike, dealing massive damage and sending him crashing down. Kai uses Zephyr Strike to hit Malice's helmet, causing more damage. Heather heals Belle, bringing her back to life, and then hides. Malice retaliates by flying up and attacking Bradley again, leaving him near death. Damien uses a healing spell to revive Bradley secretly and locks the doors with Chopper to keep anyone from coming in. Raj teleports to the top of the machine, joining Kai and Belle in a fight. Raj manages to hit Malice, who is looking more damaged as the battle goes on. Belle and Kai exchange a determined look and gear up for a fight, with Belle struggling a bit after being revived. Yokon lands some solid blows on Malice, and Bradley, now back in the game, deals a hefty punch before retreating. Kai launches a powerful attack with his harpoon and Belle joins in, but her hit misses. Heather prepares to heal Raj, who gets hit hard by Malice's attack, knocking him out temporarily. However, Heather's quick healing brings Raj back into the fight, and despite being badly injured, he is ready to keep going. Malice is seriously injured and Damien seizes the chance to attack her, getting a solid hit in. Chopper is busy disabling arms, alarms, and cameras to keep things under wraps. Raj teleports back into the fray and lands in a couple of hits that leave Malice on the brink. Belle and Yokon step in, with Yokon ultimately delivering the final blow that shatters Malice's helmet and ends the fight. As Malice's condition deteriorates, Yokon tries to comfort her, but she dies before she realizes it. The session ends on a somber note, with the team reflecting on the tragic outcome and contemplating their next steps. To be continued.